Hi, everybody, and welcome to this week's episode of Literary Distraction. Thank you to everyone who watched last week and who commented, and congratulations to the winner of a signed copy of A Memory of Violets, which I will be sending off in the next couple of days. And I have another giveaway for the books I'm going to talk about this week as well. So stay tuned and I'll tell you what to do. And so I hope everyone's keeping well. We've had a really gorgeous Easter weekend here in Ireland, great weather, which in one way makes the lockdown easier and in other ways makes it so much harder because everybody just wants to go to the beach and go out to their favourite parks and up the mountains. So we're doing our best and staying at home, enjoying the garden and seeing everything burst into life. So we're very lucky to have that space here. And I hope you're all doing okay wherever you are. So this week I want to talk about Last Christmas in Paris, which also comes with me talking about Fall of Poppies, because the two are connected in terms of how and why I came to write them. Because Last Christmas in Paris was the first book that I co-wrote with my dear friend and amazing author Heather Webb. It was the first time for either of us writing a book with one other person, and we've gone on to do it again, and we are now doing it a third time. So it's been a fabulous experience for both of us. So I'll talk a little bit about how we came to write that, which started with this book, Last Christmas, Fall of Poppies. So Fall of Poppies is an anthology of stories related to the end of the First World War. They're all set in 1918 around the armistice. And these are the names of the authors, nine of us, nine historical fiction writers who came together because of Heather Webb, whose idea this was, to tell our own interpretation of the events leading to the end of the First World War, or the Great War, as it was known at the time. And it was an amazing book to be part of. Again, this was the first time I'd collaborated on anything with anybody. I'd written my first two novels, and Heather approached me to see if I'd like to be part of this collaboration. Heather and I share the same amazing literary agent, Michelle Brower, based in the US. That's how we became connected. So, Fall of Poppies was the first time that Heather and I really worked together, and I was so excited to travel over to New York, where this gang of us went around to various bookshops and libraries and spoke about the Great War, about the armistice, about what it was like to work with such a big group of authors. My contribution to this book is a short story called Hush. Well, when I say short story, they're all about 10,000 words, so they're more like a novella, really. And my story is set in the UK, and sort of focuses on the impact of war on the home front and what it was like for people at home waiting to hear news of their loved ones, and how the end of the war was marked in small towns and villages in the UK. So Hush is my contribution in this book. So if you haven't read this, it might be one to pick up. It's, again, at this time, people are telling me they're finding it hard to concentrate. So to be able to dip in and out of a collection like this might be perfect. None of the stories are dependent on the other. They're all, as I say, connected by the theme of the armistice, but you could read mine first and the first one last, or whichever way around. So it could be a really nice collection to dip in and out of. So, having worked together on this, Heather and I started to talk, and we both felt that there was obviously a huge amount of information that we discovered through researching our story for the armistice. And we both felt that the war was something that, quite surprisingly, actually, we both felt really compelled to write more about. And a very sort of brief and frenzied conversation led quite quickly to us deciding to approach the idea of writing a book together. And that became Last Christmas in Paris. And the idea behind this book was that we wanted to tell the story of the full experience of war. So from its very beginnings in August of 1914 through to the end in 1918. And famously, it was declared back in August of 1914 that the war would be over by Christmas. And obviously, we now know it's very different. And that's why the title Last Christmas in Paris was used, because we wanted to take the reader through all those Christmases of war and what that experience was like. And the way we tell that story is through letters. So the entire book, apart from small little excerpts at the start of each part of each year of the war, each part of the book, all of the story is told in an exchange of letters between a young woman called Evie, who is left behind in England. She's quite a privileged young woman, and there is apparently no role for somebody like her to help with the war effort. And a childhood friend of hers, Tom Harding, who is sent off to fight in France. And between them, their exchange of letters is how we, as the reader, come to understand what that experience of war was like. It's a very tender book. We've had an enormous response to it since it was published. People are still discovering it, and what lots of people say is it doesn't have to be read at Christmas at all. It's a book for all seasons, really. There's a little sprinkling of snow if it was to be read at Christmas time, but it takes us, as I say, through 4 years and the unravelling of the war and how things changed, both for soldiers at the front and for people like Evie who are left at home, and how her role changed and how frustrated she and many women became, and how irrelevant they felt, that they weren't able to do anything helpful to contribute. So it was an amazing book to write together. Obviously, Heather's based in America, I'm based here in Ireland. So we write using a Google Doc, which we move back and forth to add our next contribution to, which works really well. And actually, the time difference between Ireland and America meant that I would perhaps have written, I'd have got up first, have written my letter, if you like, from Evie to Tom. And then when Heather woke up 5 hours later, there would literally be, like, almost You've Got Mail. There was a letter from Evie to Tom waiting for her, and she would reply, and on we went. So it really did feel like our characters were writing letters to each other, and we often responded as we felt our characters would emotionally. It felt very organic, very natural. So it really was a book of letters written as we wrote letters to each other as our characters. And we had an amazing time working on that book together, and so much so that we went on to write our second co-authored book, Meet Me in Monaco, which I'll talk about in a few weeks' time. That was inspired by the wedding of Grace Kelly to Prince Rainier of Monaco, the wedding of the century, totally different to war, very exotic, south of France, Riviera setting, so a totally different sense of book. And we're currently writing our third collaboration. So again, I'll talk about that more in subsequent videos. So I hope, if you haven't read Last Christmas in Paris, that this again might be one for you to pick up. Again, lots of people have said it's quite a quick read, sort of the way the letters unfold. It's quite a page turner, because you obviously want to see the next letter and see how the next person responds. A lot of people have compared it, which is amazing, because Heather and I both adore the book. It's been compared to the Guernsey Literary and Potato Peel Pie Society, which is a mouthful, which was adapted into a movie, and again was a letter-based novel, an epistolary novel, to give it a technical term. So it's been wonderful for us to have that comparison made. So yes, lots of people have said it's quite a quick read. It's a bit of a sob fest in parts, so you might need some tissues handy, but ultimately it's a very uplifting, I think, sort of satisfying end to the story. I hope so, anyway. And I hope, if you haven't picked it up, that you might take the opportunity whilst we're on lockdown, trying to read as much as we can. And I do have a copy of each So I will send a copy of Fall of Poppies to one reader who leaves a comment here, and one copy of Last Christmas in Paris. So all you need to do to enter the giveaway is just leave a comment below, and by the end of the week I'll pick 2 random winners and I'll contact you individually to let you know which book, and then we'll exchange details. So I hope some of you will enter the giveaway. Actually, there's also another giveaway I wanted to mention. My publisher is currently running a giveaway over on Goodreads. This one's just for readers in the US, so apologies. They're giving away 100 copies of the ebook of The Girl Who Came Home to commemorate the 108th anniversary, which was actually overnight as I speak, sort of the 14th into the 15th of April, to commemorate that event. So go to Goodreads, look up the giveaways, The Girl Who Came Home, and it closes on the 19th, so you've a couple more days to enter your details there. So that's a little bit about my third novel. I had to think then, sort of third and fourth. So I really count, I suppose, Last Christmas in Paris as my third novel because that's a full novel, whereas Fall of Poppies, the contribution was one of 9. So I hope that you'll enjoy discovering both of those books, and I hope you're keeping safe and well wherever you are in the world. No cat to show you this week. She's probably outside enjoying the sunshine. Lots of you had left a comment to say that you'd enjoyed seeing Puffin last week. So she's squirreled away somewhere, keeping quiet for a change this week. So thank you again for listening. Don't forget to leave a comment below to be entered into the giveaway, and I will see you next week. Take care. Bye.